Can you hear me okay? Thank you to the Montreal Zen Center and to all of you for being here together to practice. It's important to practice correctly or properly in a right way so that we can confirm, see clearly for ourselves, for example, what our mind is doing. And if there is something that needs to be corrected in our practice, to humbly correct it. This is one of the values of one-on-one, to test and confirm what is actually going on. We will have one-on-one opportunities twice during this retreat, but only for a limited number of people for practical reasons. However, at any time, if something decisive comes up, occurs in your practice, please feel free to contact me. You can email me and then we can arrange a time for an online one-on-one. I'm here for you. Let us now humbly, patiently deepen and sustain, continue our practice together. How do you know if your practice is not correct? One easy way is to see the hindrances, the obstacles, the difficulties that appear. They arise. Almost anything can become a hindrance, obstacle, a difficulty if we are not practicing correctly. The practice itself, the zazen itself, seems to be a hindrance, an obstacle, a painful difficulty, doesn't it? How do you know if you are practicing correctly? One easy way to see those very so-called hindrances, obstacles, and difficulties become themselves opportunities. The fire siren out the window now that you can probably hear becomes itself an opportunity, an entrance, an opening, not a closing, not a hindrance. I urge you to confirm this in your own practice. I had a precious opportunity to do just that in the last few months. I was in Europe doing retreats, and I became quite ill. My blood pressure was very high, and I even experienced not just dizziness, but what's called vertigo, like the room kind of goes like this. I guess I had never been as sick as that in my life. Still, I was able to do at least the basic part of the retreats, to give the Dharma talks and do the one-on-ones, but I had to miss a lot of the zazens. It was a precious opportunity for me to see how I was stupidly stubbornly pushing myself in a way that I can no longer do. At 68 years of age, I can't behave, act like I'm 40 years old anymore. I must take care of my own body and mind. In effect, sickness is its own medicine. Illness is its own medicine, practicing properly. It is difficult for the ego self to wrap its mind, its head around this. Sickness, yes, well, tell me what the medicine is. But when you are truly practicing, illness itself, sickness itself, so-called hindrances, obstacles, difficulties, they become the way. They are their own medicine. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm taking medicine and I'm trying my best to recover. But as the Four Noble Truths make clear, early Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths, you know, huh? Well, one way they have been described is it's a way of speaking of religious spiritual practice, the whole of Buddhism, in terms of diagnosing the symptom. What is wrong? What's the illness? The first noble truth, dukkha. There is dis-ease. The ego self cannot escape from its own dis-ease. Okay, what is the cause? What causes these symptoms? What is the root source of them? Second noble truth, that there is this tanha, this craving to be, to have. Then the needed cure or the medicine, the third and the fourth noble truths. There is a way through, and what that way is in terms of the Eightfold Noble Path. Oh, this is very easy to understand. It's putting the practice we are doing in terms of looking and diagnosing, seeing the symptoms of the dis-ease, looking into the root of it, and then finding out the way to heal, to recover, to undo the dis-ease at its root. Well, Buddhism and Zen Buddhism have a bit of a different approach, but they're both Buddhism for sure. When it all comes down to it, when we give all to our practice, and if we are humble and honest with ourselves, how can we not give all to our practice? If you do it for a while and then you fall off the deep end, as we say, well, you have to see what you are doing wrong. It's not the practice, it's you. You are indulging in your old patterns, and you know they don't go anywhere, but you don't have the discipline to go beyond them. It's really not difficult. The difficulty is continuing in your deluded way, isn't it? Stop escaping. Again, you'll know you're practicing properly when anything becomes an opening, an entrance, an opportunity. Frankly speaking, in much of Buddhist meditation, not Zen Buddhist, but generally Buddhist meditation, there's a focus on arousing joy, contentment, and equanimity as part of the path, as part of the cure for the illness. They often speak of piti, for example. They have terms like this, which means as you enter into meditation, you're able to dislodge, to release from the sensuous, the sense grasping and holding on to what it wants or trying to avoid what it doesn't want. There's a settling and a calmness because we're not chasing after or running away from anything, even if it's just for a few minutes. But from there, from the depths of our being, a joy arises. A joy not a sensuous joy because I just had a good meal or I just did something I liked. No, it's precisely because you are not being chased after or running after anything. A joy that comes out of that. A joy that comes out of relative non-attachment. As this is deepened, again, I'm talking about Buddhist meditation, a kind of deeper, sometimes translated as happiness, sukha, but I would rather say contentment, because happiness is too momentary and fleeting. A deeper, more sustained contentment with what is, an equanimity, another word that is used. And this, in a sense, becomes a way through in much of Buddhist meditation. That contentment, that peacefulness, that joy, not a grasping one, but a settled piti or sukha, joy, contentment, equanimity, draws us in. And as long as we don't grasp onto that, it leads us through quite well. Zen meditation, Zen practice is a bit of a different approach. To put it very simply, we might say in Zen, the remaining doubt that is there, that doubt itself can lead us through. We don't deny that, ignore it. Rather, the remaining genuine doubt we don't yet fully know. This can lead us through. I'm not talking about some artificially created doubt or mere wavering or indecision. No. The genuine doubt that remains, that's all. Opening up to the genuine doubt that remains. You see, that itself becomes the way through in Zen. It's a very elegant practice in that sense. The illness, the sickness, the dis-ease is its own medicine. To make it clear, let us now go through it together in some detail. Is what I'm saying too difficult to understand? I know many of you, perhaps most of you, are not native English speakers, Quebecois. Your French is your native tongue. Can you understand? If you need clarification, Louis is here and can always throw in some clarification if needed. Am I going slowly enough, clearly enough? Any questions so far? Feel free just to speak up and say, wait a minute, what does that mean? I don't understand. Feel free, okay? I'm sorry I don't speak French or Quebecois. My apologies. Let us begin with a quote. Delusive thoughts and feelings hidden in lotus threads, end quote. Delusive, it could also be discursive, or defiling, deluded, deluded thoughts and feelings hidden. We can't see them, hidden in lotus threads. You know, the lotus flower is the symbol of Buddhism and of awakening. It's here talking about the lotus threads. These are very, very fine fibers in the lotus plant, not in the flower, but in the stalk. They're very, very fine. They're used for what's called lotus silk. It's a very fine and expensive material used in making robes and things. But the point here is they're very, very small, very, very fine. But they're what allows the lotus to live. And yet here, there are delusive thoughts and feelings hidden in those tiny little threads of our lovely lotus that we are trying to blossom, trying to grow into. Once again, quote, delusive thoughts and feelings hidden in lotus threads, end quote. Hakuin, for example, the Japanese Zen master who passed away just over 250 years ago. Hakuin wrote about these lotus threads and the defilements or delusions hidden in them. He wrote about it in some detail with reference to practice. This image is also mentioned in Buddhist literature and briefly in the record of Rinzai or Linchi as well, father of Rinzai Zen. What is being referred to? What are we talking about? Delusive thoughts and feelings remain hidden, well, in the lotus threads, but what does that really mean? Does it mean hidden in the relative quiet of Zazen? Does it mean hidden in the joy of some attainment, some enlightenment, some so-called Kensho experience? What does this expression, delusive thoughts and feelings hidden in lotus threads, what does it say for us practicing here and now, our present situation? Truly practicing is to be truly settled, to come home, so to speak. We have already gone into some detail in earlier previous Dharma talks about the right approach to this, the importance of sustained, continued focus, concentration, the importance of a lifestyle, living a life in accord with this. I trust it is what we are now all doing together. If we are doing it properly, it becomes clear, doesn't it? What was difficult, a difficult struggle, becomes quite natural, doesn't it? What seemed impossible becomes inevitable. It can't help but happen, but unfold. We find ourselves truly at home. When I say at home, I don't just mean physically in our house. I mean truly at rest, wherever we are, whatever we are. This is settled in real practice. Please feel free to stand up and stretch for a moment if you would like. There is no magic to the practice. If you can humbly recognize, see how you are falling back into delusive patterns, delusive thoughts and feelings, learn how to correct it. Yes, this takes discipline. That's right. Moment to moment mindfulness. That's right. This is also one of the values of one-on-one. But finally, ultimately, it's up to you. It's up to you. Day by day, moment to moment. Yes, in the midst of our busy lives. Otherwise, it's worthless. It can be difficult, of course. Yes, I know well. I'm a lay person. I'm a layman. But if it does not come alive in the midst of our busy lives, what good is it? But it is difficult, especially in the beginning, to get settled enough. That's why we are doing what we are doing now. A special opportunity to step out of our daily busy lives and just give ourselves hour after hour, day after day to the practice. It's a very precious practice, but it must finally return, be inseparable from, not separated from our daily lives. True humbleness, humility, modesty comes from being without self, doesn't it? Being without self is true humility, humbleness, modesty. This is settled in real practice. Confirm it for yourself. Delusive thoughts and feelings hidden in lotus threads. What was Hakuin's medicine, his cure? This is what Hakuin says about it. He's speaking of the mu koan. I believe you're all familiar with that, huh? A monk asked, does this dog have the Buddha nature or not? Is it awakened or not? And although in the sutras, it says all beings have or are the Buddha nature, are free of all dis-ease. At this time, at this place, the master, in Japanese, Joshu, simply said, ru, or in Japanese, mu, which means no, it doesn't. This is the mu koan. Hakuin's medicine is, quote, the mu koan is a method that cuts through the subtle roots of birth and death. Gnaw on it, Hakuin says. Chew it to pieces until you chew through the root of life. Finish dying, then come back to life. Hakuin concludes, don't wait till you're old and tears of regret are streaming down your cheeks, end quote. Well, here in his typical manner, Hakuin provides a kind of a skeleton. But let's put a little skin on the bones as we realize it ourselves. Very simply, what he's talking about is dis-ease, the dis-ease that we are. Seen through, come to its own end, undone at its root. The basis of Buddhism. Another way of expressing it is the great matter of life and death, uprooted once and for all. This is nothing in the least abstract. It must be concrete, opened up right underfoot in our own heart, in our own body, which is inseparable from the universe. Otherwise, as you well know from your own wavering experience, you just keep going round and round in the same painful, pointless, frustrating circles. A good example, maybe you develop a solid samadhi or concentrated oneness in this retreat, only for it to disperse, to die away over time as delusions and disappointment return, maybe next week. Well, this is not really practice at all. It's practice charading, parading as medicine, as a cure, but it's really a symptom of the dis-ease itself, isn't it? Could this be the remaining delusions hidden in our lovely lotus threads? Outstanding Zen people such as Lin Chi or Rinzai, Dogen, Ikkyu, Bankei, Hakuin, and many others criticized other practices, other teachers. I used to wonder why such severe criticism. Could it have something to do with the danger they saw in those remaining delusions hidden in the lotus threads? What is this really? After all, sitting quietly helps, doesn't it? Psychological calming and insight is good, isn't it? Kensho experiences, koans, esoteric techniques all have their place. But they won't do here, will they? Truly sincere and humble, we cannot delude ourselves, can we? Such practices, techniques, experiences even, do not end the dis-ease that is self-delusion. See it for yourself. Taken wrongly, such delusions hidden in our lovely lotus just prolong, extend the dis-ease. Can you deny it? Let us take great care. Quiet sitting, insights, Kensho experiences, all can become a kind of a poison, a kind of a toxic symptom of the dis-ease that remains. Keep your eye open. It becomes, taken wrongly, a kind of Zenistic double think, double talk. For example, oh, all is fine in peaceful sitting, but then conflicts remain in interactions, but I guess they're not really real anyway, so I'll not think about them too much. Well, this is not practice at all. It's Zenistic double think, double talk. It's trying to put our split minds together. It doesn't work. It's trying to think our way out of it. A sure sign, the fundamental dis-ease and wavering remains. It's clear, isn't it? Delusions hidden in our lovely little lotus. Holding on to some ideal state is a delusion. Where does the need come from? Where does the need for some ideal state come from? That very need has not come to its own end, has it? Thus, round and round in the same old circles, entangled in, strangled by our lovely lotus threads. Beware. It's also a delusion to vainly try and convince ourselves all is okay when it's not. We don't need someone else to point this out for us, do we? If we humbly look, it's clear it won't do. It is not real. It is not real practice. It is an escape from real practice, an escape from what is real, isn't it? Trying to think our way out of these delusions is itself a delusion. It only prolongs, extends the delusive threads. Yes, even if we are sitting in perfect zazen posture when we do it. Right here and now, there's not one thread of delusion, let alone enlightenment. Where, I ask you, does that come from? Let me stop here for today so we have time for any questions from out of the practice. I urge you, I ask you, please make your question or concern as clear and precise, exact as you can. Then a clear answer can be given. And again, there are many of us. There's a very rich Sangha community here to work with and from and gain insight from. Some concerns may be best taken up in one-on-one, the two of us. But many of the concerns are not just the concern of one individual. There are many people's concerns. So by raising it here for the benefit of all, it can be helpful for many. Please consider, if you have a question or concern from out of the practice, make it as clear, precise as you can. Feel free to ask. Also, if there's something you didn't understand, language, please ask and we can clear that up as well. Thank you all for listening so intently.
Jeff, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. I hope so. Given what everything you just said, then what the hell do we do?
You see where you are stuck, don't you, Dennis?
Oh, yeah.
Right there is where you need to be. Stop trying to get out of it and go all the way in. That's what Zazen is.
Thank you.
Do you see? You're very attentive.
But the wall is still there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Good. Good. As long as you see that, now you know. Stop running away from it. Stop escaping into reasons and explanations and ways you can do it. You want to be frank, Dennis? There is no way. As long as you find a way, you're just finding an escape, aren't you? You follow?
Yeah.
Any genuine spiritual practice. Read Meister Eckhart. He who seeks God in ways finds ways, and not God who is beyond me. If you're sitting there trying to get somewhere, take a look. Where are you trying to get to, Ben? Do you see where you are right now? That will do. To really see where you are right now. To stop running from this. You have everything you need. Stop wasting.
I know that's true.
Right here.
The wall is there.
We now have several days, Don't budge. Don't move an inch. Please don't misunderstand me. Take breaks. You're maybe even older than me, So do take breaks. But when you get up and take a break and go to the bathroom and have a meal and take a rest, yes. But you can see when you're really into the practice, it doesn't leave when you get up, does it? You follow? It goes with you. When you stand up, it's there. You follow?
I do.
The real practice does not come and go. Your states of mind, the wavering mind, oh yeah, it's coming and going all the time. And that's what you keep trying to hold on to and saying, how do I do it? It's impossible. Stop trying and see where you are coming from rather than trying to get to somewhere. You're into it up to your eyeballs, Dennis. Can you deny it? You want to say yes and no, don't you, That's okay.
I'm having a hard time hearing, but
Oh, it's not, the connection is not clear?
well, well, I'm just having a hard time hearing. I'm getting it. I'm getting what you're saying. I'm trying to listen and hear what you say without thinking about what you're saying, if that makes any sense. Because that's my problem. That I think about what you say. And that's not where I want to be.
Just confirm it in your bones, Dennis, that's all. You can doubt everything I say all you want, but confirm this in your bones. That's all.
I don't doubt it. I just want to see it clearly rather than think about it.
That's where patient, humble, sincere practice comes in. And you are patient, you are humble, you are sincere. Maybe a little more patience, but not too much. Don't waste your time. You're no spring chicken.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, not tomorrow, tomorrow we'll have one-on-one, but in 2 days and again in 4 days, we'll have Dharma talks. If something comes up or if you want to be in touch online, you just send me an email. Otherwise, after the Dharma talks, if you're not satisfied, you bring it up again until you are. Okay? If anyone else would like to speak up from their experience, please feel free.
Pascal,
Uh,
please.
Hello.
Jeff, I have one question. Is you speak often about the split self, and I don't know exactly what is this. Is it possible to explain it briefly, or we have to understand it by our own self, and I don't know.
When the self examines itself, it becomes clear, huh? We are alive, for sure, but for sure we will die also, won't we? I seek to do what is good, but I often don't avoid doing what is bad or failing to do what is good. Can even say I am, but I'm every moment, every day coming closer to my own death. I am, my being itself is split, isn't it? I have faith, don't you?
Yes.
But you also have doubt, don't you?
Yes.
Well, is the self split or not? I would go so far as to say the self is that split, not the self has a split or some do and some don't. That's what the self is. That's why we can not only deceive others, you understand, fool others, but we can, and we do every day, don't we, deceive ourselves. It's called self-deception in English. Do you understand?
Yes, well, I mean, when we contradict ourselves and when we have contradiction in front of a situation, we feel it's bad, and then we feel it's good, and we have a contradiction, and I don't know, something like that.
What do you call that in French? That's self-deception.
Deception, je sais, I don't know.
But anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay.
Well, you tell me you want to understand what the split self is. How is it possible, I ask you, for the self to deceive itself if it's not split?
We are in a situation where we have, I don't know how to say it.
But is that just a particular situation, or is that perhaps what the self is actually made of, so to speak? It is by its very nature split. And nothing we can do will put that back together again. That's why there's Buddhist meditation. Buddhist meditation isn't simply trying to put the two sides back together again. It's releasing us from the very need to do that. Because after all, the world is, I wouldn't say a contradiction, but it's a marvelous paradox, isn't it? To try to reduce myself or the world to some kind of a rational thing that it is. Not a contradiction. Well, you're left with simply the shadow of it, aren't you? Life is a marvelous, if not contradiction, paradox, isn't it?
I have to think to this.
Well, don't think about it too much. I would urge you to experience it in your very bones. Experience it in your very bones. Who is this? Yes, you understand why a koan like, who is this? Who am I? Works so well. Who is this? Or maybe even, what is this? This thing I call myself. See it. Well, think about it. That's endless. It's endless. An infinite regress, as it's called. What is that? What is that? That which you cannot put out there as an object. What is this one who is now seeking? Make that clear. and the very need to put together a split self is undone. You find you were free from the very beginning. I urge you to confirm this for yourself, Pascal, okay?
Yes. Thank you very much.
You made a distinction between what we're going to and what we're coming from. What we're going to, I can grasp that. Well, whatever it means, the grasping. In fact, exactly. Going to is trying to get something, but where we're coming from, I don't know what you mean by that.
That's fine. You will soon enough. Huh? When you stop trying to get somewhere, you will realize what you have had all along. You cannot attain it. You know, in Mahayana Buddhism, they often speak of it. Huh?
No.
It is unattainable. Well, what does that mean? It means it's right here. It can only be realized right here. We can only come from it. That's what being without self is. We can never go toward it. We appear to do that. That's why we give ourselves to the practice, for sure. But in the end, what happens is you realize you were coming from it. Your very attempt to get there, where did that come from, really? When we really see where that very genuine desire or need to get there, to be awake, to be enlightened, to be free from all suffering. Where does that really come from? Make that clear, and the chasing, the seeking ceases. It falls away. There's nothing to seek. You realize the whole universe has been at your feet the whole time. And you were looking for a bigger, brighter one or something. The whole universe is at your feet. What are you looking for?
What we're coming from is that right here, in fact.
Well, right here that is without boundaries.
Yeah.
Without even the form of itself. That's the point. You follow?
Yeah, well, I have to work on that, I think.
Please do. That's what the next several days are for. Thank you for your questions. They're not just yours, Jan, I assure you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you all.